Edge of Tomorrow is a 2014 science fiction action film starring Tom Cruise as William Bill Cage and Emily Blunt as Rita Brodowski. The film is set in the near future, where Earth has been invaded by a powerful alien race called the Mimics. The story revolves around Cage, a public affairs officer with no combat experience, who becomes caught in a time loop, forcing him to relive the same day repeatedly until he can find a way to defeat the alien invaders. As the movie opens, the world is under attack by the Mimics, who have devastated most of Europe. The United Defense Force UDF, a global military organization, prepares for a major invasion of France to eliminate the alien threat. Cage, who has primarily been responsible for the youth's media relations, is suddenly sent to Heathrow Airport in London to meet with the commanding officer, General Brigham. Brigham orders Cage to the front lines of the invasion as a war correspondent, despite Cage's lack of combat experience. Cage attempts to blackmail Brigham to avoid being sent to the front lines, but Brigham instead has him arrested and sent to Heathrow under the command of Master Sergeant Farrell. Farrell believes Cage is a deserter and assigns him to Master J Squad, a misfit group of soldiers. Cage is given a mechanized exoskeleton called a jacket and sent into battle without any training or understanding of how to operate the suit. The invasion begins the next morning, and the UDF soldiers are dropped onto the beach. The Mimics, however, are waiting for them and quickly decimate the human forces. Cage manages to kill a large, blue mimic, but dies in the process when the creature's blood melts his face. Miraculously, Cage awakens back at Heathrow Airport the previous day, forced to relive the events he just experienced. Confused and terrified, Cage tries to convince Farrell and J Squad that the invasion is doomed to fail, but they dismiss his claims. Cage is sent into battle once again, only to be killed and reset to the previous day. As he becomes trapped in the time loop, he gradually learns to fight and survive longer in each iteration, though he is still unable to prevent the invasion's failure. During one of the loops, Cage encounters Rita Brodowski, a decorated war hero known as the Angel of Verdun or the Full Metal Bee. He saves her life and reveals that he is stuck in a time loop. Rita, having experienced a similar phenomenon herself after killing a blue mimic, recognizes Cage's situation and urges him to find her when he wakes up. In the next loop, Cage meets with Rita, who explains that the blue mimics, known as alphas, have the ability to reset time whenever they are killed. This power is controlled by a central entity called the Omega, which can predict humanity's strategies and counter them. Rita trains Cage to use his exoskeleton and fight more effectively, and together they devise a plan to locate and kill the Omega, ending the alien threat. Cage and Rita attempt the mission multiple times, with each failure resulting in Cage's death and a reset of the time loop. As they grow closer, Cage develops feelings for Rita and becomes increasingly determined to save her life. Rita, on the other hand, remains focused on the mission and repeatedly insists that they must prioritize killing the Omega. Eventually, Cage and Rita manage to locate the Omega in a dam in Germany, but Cage is mortally wounded during the mission. Instead of resetting the loop, Rita kills the Alpha guarding the Omega, causing the Omega to reset the day. Cage wakes up in London once again, but now has the knowledge of the Omega's location. He and Rita decide to go after the Omega one last time, hoping to end the war once and for all. As they make their way to the dam, Cage and Rita recruit J Squad to assist them in the mission. They explain the time loop and their plan, convincing the squad to help despite the seemingly impossible odds. Upon reaching the dam, the team faces a horde of mimics and engages in a fierce battle. During the fight, several members of J Squad are killed, and Rita is mortally wounded. As she dies in Cage's arms, she implores him to finish the mission and save humanity. Distraught, Cage continues on and confronts the Omega, which is hidden deep within the dam. Cage manages to kill the Omega by planting explosives on its core, but he is fatally injured by an alpha mimic in the process. As the Omega dies, its blood engulfs Cage, causing him to absorb its time resetting powers. He dies, and the day resets once more, but this time, the reset goes back further than usual, to the day he first met General Brigham. Cage wakes up on a helicopter en route to Brigham's office. However, news reports reveal that the mimics have mysteriously died all across Europe thanks to the destruction of the Omega. Realizing that he has successfully ended the war, Cage visits Heathrow Airport, where he finds Reed alive and well. He smiles at her, knowing the truth of their shared experiences and the victory they achieved together, but she is unaware of their past encounters. The movie concludes with the promise of a future free from the alien threat, as Cage and Rita have successfully destroyed the Omega and saved humanity.